Yeah, my name is Eni Olukotun. I'm a trained journalist and I'm an entrepreneur as well. You can call me an advocate for good governance and social justice. That is exactly essentially what we are doing. Okay. You know, and I'm the publisher of Complete News Online. Okay.
So, just recently, the Lagos State local government elections were concluded, and we all saw how that went with all of the crises and the grievances that came out of the elections. Now, what would you say is the future of further local government elections with this kind of situation that we just had?
Yeah, what we had on July 22nd in Lagos, I won't call it an election, it was a pure charade. You know, it was a major setback for our democratic experience, and we really expected something better. You know, from Lagos, the way they threw their weight around as the center of excellence and as leading, you know, in terms of good governance as they claim. But what played out on July 22nd was a pure rape of democracy. It was a pure subversion of people's will. And then we saw the way, you know, violence and order was the order of the day. It was most unfortunate because Lagos cannot claim to have, you know, any excuse not to conduct a fair and credible, you know, election, considering the kind of the quantum of resources at their disposal. This is a government that claims is generating close to 30 billion, if I'm not mistaken, per month. You know, so they can't claim they don't have the resources to, you know, to actually deliver. And there are so many things that played, you know, out in the build-up to the election. You recall that barely 4 days to that election, Lagos State House of Assembly amended Lagos State Independent Electoral Act, which is a pure aberration because you don't actually change, you know, the rules of the game in the middle, you know, of the match. And that was exactly what happened, that a candidate can be substituted 3 days, you know, to the election. And to actually make the whole matter worse, it appeared there is a silence of conspiracy. Even among the civil society organization, here used to be the fulcrum, you know, of civic engagement activity, and we never heard anything. As if everything was just normal. There was no public hearing done. There were no input sought from various stakeholders. The whole thing was passed in a day and it was transmitted to the governor for assent. I think this is a height of impunity and, you know, and a very undemocratic act, and it must be condemned. The other day, the Lagos State Publicity Secretary, Mr. Igbokwe, he was calling in on a radio program, and I was in the studio, fortunately, and I asked him a question. That, sir, why is it that you are not adhering to what is written under Article 20 of your, you know, Constitution? And this is his response. He said that in Lagos, they have their own style of picking candidates, that we should forget about the APC Constitution. You know, I think that is an assault, you know, on every Lagosian. It is an assault on every pro-democracy activist. It is an assault on our collective sensibility. So going forward, I know it will stand. And even if you look at it, there are laid down rules of how you can remove a national officer of the APC, of the party. You don't just gather yourself in one room somewhere in an obscure environment and say, yeah, you have removed someone without ratification, you know, from the national, you know, national body. So what they embarked on had been issue. It was an illegality, and that was the position of the national organ of the APC.
So what would you suggest is the right way to move forward? This already is an issue, and the party needs to address this to be able to successfully capture 2019 if it has interest in that. So what would you advise that they do to tackle this?
Well, they have to, I don't belong to their party. They have to pull their house, in order. And more so, I think we need to commend the National Assembly for, if you look at certain amendments that they propose in this ongoing constitutional amendment, it has to do with financial autonomy for the local government. I think it's key. This aberration of we having joint accounts where local government resources are being diverted and siphoned and used for other purposes other than development will be essentially curbed. I think it's something that we should all, support. And again, in the for the conduct of the local government election, I think INEC has some semblance of credibility compared to the state electoral body we have. They have proven to us, especially based on what happened last month in Lagos, that they are organ, that they are stood, they are just tied to the apron string of the party in power. And that is exactly what happened, because I know in some local governments here in Lagos that it was a free-for-all. Ballot boxes were snatched, guns were used, heads were smashed, people were maimed because of local government election. And to make the entire matter worse, certain people who parade themselves as human rights activists and observers, they never put all these reports in the public glare. So it appears there is a gang up somewhere, against the, collective will of the people. And we must, speak against it, we must condemn it as much as we could. So going forward 2019, APC must have been seeing, the trend that it is no longer business as usual. We saw what happened in Osun during the run election in Osun West. Against all expectation, PDP, won the party in power. So, and ditto, we saw some of the examples too, also during the 2015 election. So going forward, looking at the political turf, I will see a lot of realignment coming up, and some party or some other political forces will leverage on the inability of the APC to put its house in order. So they have a lot of work on their hand. Even if you look at their deliverables, the things they promise and all that, they promise to create 3 million jobs annually. I don't know how many jobs, we have seen so far. They promise to actually stabilize the economy. The economy is still dangling. They promise to do a lot of, fight against corruption. For instance, the issue of the grass cutter, the Babashilawa and all that, it was a case of a criminal allegation. You don't set up an administrative panel to look into that. You refer the person to the appropriate anti-graft agency to deal with. So we don't need any report. Someone has been accused of diverting about 250 million naira, if I'm not mistaken, that was meant for people who are in the IDP. You will even be surprised that even some of the, the IDPs, some of the people in IDP camps, they are even more held. Some of the people in Boko Haram camp, they are even more healthy than those people that the government is, budgeting millions of naira, and some other international donors giving them money for their support in the IDP. They are more healthier than them, if you look at them physically. So they have a lot of things to actually do. Now, the campaign of calumny, the smear campaign that is being organized against the person of Dr. Muiz Banire has to stop. This person shouldn't be vilified for saying that we need to deepen our democracy and enthrone the internal democracy, which will be key for development. Because if any candidate is imposed, the candidate will not be accountable to the people. He will only be accountable to the godfather of people who he thinks that they were instrumental to his emergence. So if you create a level playing ground for people to go to the field, and test their popularity. Look at what happened here. According to what we gather from the grapevine, that the leadership of the party said about 18 local government chairmen, former local government chairmen should be given automatic tickets. Now, that is regardless if they had performed in their forthcoming or not. So I don't think that is right. You can probably say, okay, well, you can have preference for people, but you don't actually foreclose, the opportunity for some other credible candidates or aspirants to challenge such people. So we really need to do a lot of things going forward 2019.
Thank you. Let's get to your work as a journalist and as a person who's very much interested in good governance. There's this trend that when journalists gather for events, rallies, press conferences and stuff like that, at the end of that event, or even prior to the event, the people who, the hosts, sort of like put some brown envelopes in their hands and all that. And that, in my opinion, hinders good governance, hinders advocacy, hinders the right to formally report what you see to the public, which is actually the journalist's first duty. What is your advice to young journalists who want to remain neutral in a situation like this that is a norm in the Nigerian journalism industry?
Well, thank you very much. I think that the trust of your question has to do with probably people seeking gratification economically to help themselves. But we have to be frank with ourselves. We are operating in a very hostile, environment. And even if you look at the media proprietors, they are not actually doing anything, to actually alleviate the socio-economic conditions of their workers. As of today, we know of media houses, conventional media houses, some of them that are even posting great earnings at the end of the year. They are not paying salaries. Some are even owing up to 12, 13, 11, 8 months, and what have you. And these people definitely will want to survive. They have family, they have dependents, they have people, aged parents, and other people who are looking up to them and other. So it is quite an unfortunate situation we have found ourselves. However, I believe there are way out. Way out in the sense that you must probably have what we call a dignity of human person. As a journalist, you are called to come and do this job, and I know for a fact, definitely if someone extends something to you, it might block the kind of narrative you will give to the event and other, and which essentially is affecting us. So going forward, I think that various stakeholders, the NGE, that is the Nigerian Guild of Editors, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, and the entire civil society, community should come to the head of journalists and put pressure on these Shylock media proprietors who are always fond of exploiting their workers, without enumerating them adequately.